I will call the special meeting of the Lisle Park District Board of Park Commissioners to order this Thursday, November 6th, 2025 at 6:01 PM. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Dan?
Yep, Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Tapella, Commissioner Nadeau,
Here.
Commissioner Pereira,
Here.
President Peter.
Here. We stand for the pledge of allegiance. Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment. Visitors are welcome to address the Board of Park Commissioners. You are asked to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the board president. When recognized, please state your name and item you wish to discuss. It is requested that one spokesperson for a group be appointed to present the views of the entire group rather than have multiple individuals repeat similar opinions. There will be a 5-minute time limit per speaker. Is there any public comment this evening? Hearing none, I will move on to our presentation. The Indoor Recreation Space Feasibility Study Final Presentation by Pros Consulting. John or Dan, did you have any prelude to this?
So I think we're here with Pros Consulting just to go over the results from the 10-month process that we spent engaged with them and learned a lot along the ways, and excited to hear their final recommendations and have them answer any questions that there may be.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you. Our presentation will be about 20 to 25 minutes just to take you through everything. So just as a reminder of what we've done. So I know you have a handout in front of you, but we're going to talk a little bit about the process, our public engagement, the survey results, the core building program, operational strategy, financial strategy, and any questions that you have.
You want me to put the presentation up?
Please.
And just Terry will not be joining us. She said she had just texted Dan, so she will not be joining us tonight. Is this up? What's up there? The same thing I got on here.
Trying to get it to
All right,
show.
I'm just gonna go down here.
Wait for it. Wait for beginning.
Or do you want me to move over to Terry's seat?
There we are.
Over to Terry's seat, maybe?
Next slide.
This is Terry's.
Next slide. So this all began, as Dan said, about 10 months ago when we got started. We outlined for you basically the entire process from the start with the data collection, the market assessment, the analysis. That we did all the key leaderships here, meetings here in the Park District. And then basically tonight we're sharing all of the other elements, the needs analysis. Again, you heard it before, but we're reiterating just to make sure because the audience is here, and with facility building progress, potential, and also looking at the capital operating costs, the pro forma that's associated with it, and kind of just an overall final report. In terms of, and I'll turn this over to Phil.
Thank you.
So as part of this process, we conducted several focus groups and had 2 surveys, an online survey, so that anyone who was interested could participate, as well as the statistically valid, and a homepage that identified the project and what we were working towards as part of the process. In all, over 1,500 participants participated in either the survey, comments, or the focus groups. And that was the basis for building out the statistically valid survey, which we'll go into a little bit more detail about here in the next few slides. Next slide, please. So as part of that, responses exceeded the goal by almost 19%. It was a 4-page survey distributed by mail, and able to take that online or via phone. It was done as a random sampling of the district residents. And margin of error is approximately 5%. giving a 95% confidence level. If you were to take action on what the public supports as part of this. What that 95% confidence rate means is that if we did this same survey 100 times, we would get the same response 95 out of 100 times. And that's what makes it statistically valid, is that it mirrors the demographics of your community and the residents of the district. Yeah, plus or minus 5%. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick slide. It's very difficult to read. We've got a summary slide of this, but this is actually from the results, and it shows the priority investment rating for programs. Next slide shows the priority investment rating for the amenities. And then all of those culminate into this slide, meaning the programs, adult fitness and wellness programs, we're at 200, which is the highest score for the priority rating, followed by aquatics, pickleball, water fitness, adult sports. And then the amenities, indoor running, walking track, indoor program pool, weight room and cardiovascular equipment area, which typically is known as a fitness facility, lap lanes for exercise, also multi-purpose courts, aerobics, fitness, martial arts, dance, so a multi-purpose space, and then water, warm water program area. Some highlights from the survey, because you've already seen this as part of the findings presentation back in August. But what we seen was 84% of households were very supportive to somewhat supportive of new indoor recreation spaces. When supportive is double that of not supportive, and a bond issue is sought after, we've had those pass under those circumstances. And here it is well over half, only 7% were not supportive or not supportive at all. And with 10%, that means there's typically 10% that want to know a little bit more information before they would make up their mind. So that 10% is neutral. Next slide.
Sorry, can you repeat that stat you just said about the something double,
So
something else?
when it's supportive or somewhat supportive percentage is double that of not supportive or not supportive at all. From our experience, those bonds typically pass when put out to the public to determine whether to move forward or not. And so here we have significantly more than double.
Just want to make
Yeah.
10%, yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
7.
So also 70% of the households that participated in the survey are traveling between 5 and 15 minutes for indoor recreation facility use. That's pretty significant. And something that needs to be taken into account when we look at the demographics and we look to determine how many people might actually be members. That smaller drive time than the 10 to 15 minutes or 16 plus tends to be better. It's less time in the car, more time doing the activity that you would prefer to do. Next slide. 65% of the responses anticipate using the spaces that they prefer on a weekly basis. So here you can see once or twice a week is at 34%, and 3 to 5 times a week is at 31%. This shows a high potential for participation in the facility, whether that be via program or via membership, which is also good for generating revenue, but it's also good, again, since we've heard that you can get pretty much anywhere in Lisle within 5 minutes. So that makes it a much better option for indoor recreation activities than driving that 5 to 16 plus minutes. Next slide. 75% of the households prefer to have monthly passes for new indoor recreation spaces. You can see indoor monthly family pass, monthly senior pass, as well as monthly adult passes. And then some will pay per visit, 13%. Typically, that is something that does take place for folks who want to see if the facility is going to work best for the needs that they have. And then once determined, some of those folks who are paying on a per visit basis will choose to move towards a membership pass. Next slide. The community that responded as far as the survey results on how much they would be willing to pay for a pass type. Typically, in the past, we have seen the lowest amount chosen first, almost always. But in this instance, that hasn't been the case. That tells us that individuals understand the value of indoor recreation space by not choosing the lowest, which again works out from support from the public standpoint as well as financial support from the public. Leon, this is where last time we asked you to elaborate a little bit on the value of a recreation hour. Would you want to touch on that here too again?
Well, typically in our country right now, recreation hour is between $8 to $9 per hour. So if you play golf, public golf anyway, typically it's a 5-hour round, and it's usually in the neighborhood $40 to $45 for a public round of golf. It, varies based on the quality of the golf course and whether you have a cart or not, but just pure play. If you go bowling, it's pretty much in the neighborhood of in the $12 to $14 to basically to bowl. If you do one line or 3 lines, you go to a movie, it's 14, anywhere between for an hour and a half, 2-hour movie, it's in neighborhood between $14, $16. And so as you start looking at what a recreation hour is worth, people start evaluating where the park system and where they spend their dollars against other types of experiences that are in the region. And what we're just saying here is that based on what people's willingness to pay, this is well below that hourly rate.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So just to recap the key takeaways from the survey, 84% of households are very supportive to somewhat supportive. 74% of households are traveling greater distance to participate in indoor recreation facilities. 65% anticipate utilizing the facility at least on a weekly basis. And then 59% of households are spending $51 to $200 a month on recreation services outside of the Lisle Park District. How great it would be to capture that and have that be a part of building up the Lisle community and the Lisle Park District and the facilities that they provide, rather than supporting the various locations within the metro area. Next slide. So this represents the core building program that was identified as part of all of the process, taking the survey results, the community input, what's actually feasible. And it's within the report identifying all the factors that came into play. What you see here is multi-purpose courts, 2 of those, a weight and cardiovascular room, which is your fitness and weight training room, indoor running and walking track, multi-purpose or multi-activity court, also a multi-purpose room. This way it has the ability to double as another court, giving it 3 courts, but also to utilize that for some of the fitness within the facility as well. Obviously, a lobby and reception area, locker rooms and restrooms to support the use of the facility, and then facility offices to support the staff that are operating the facility. That gets you roughly around 30,000 square foot in the minimum and 40,000 square foot at the maximum, which could potentially have 3 gyms in addition to the multi-purpose room. Your storage area and mechanicals is 25 to 30% of your programmable space. You're looking at storage being 10 to 15% of that to make sure that the facility can support the multifunctionality that the staff and the public have asked for. And then ultimately that's putting the facility about 37,500 square foot for the minimum and roughly at about 52 for a larger maximum facility. So the hard courts being for sports, the walking track, as well as the fitness room would be what we refer to as self-directed activities. And therefore that brings in the potential of a membership. We're fully aware that a facility like this has already existed within the district. And one of the things that came through discussions with staff was to ensure that state-of-the-art equipment and a regular replacement schedule was in place so that it would have a much more attractiveness than the previous facility. In addition, We've identified existing spaces within the recreation center that could be repurposed to keep the size of this facility and the cost of this facility contained. Next slide, please. So why aquatics is visibly absent? You'll recall that aquatics did come in on the survey results, at least 3 of the aquatic type facilities within those top 7. Well, existing indoor aquatic providers within the area, it's important to take the similar providers providing indoor aquatics into account. There are similar elements in a new facility there would be elements in this new facility that could be duplicating what the similar providers in the area already have and is readily available and nearby. But it would also introduce a financial burden that is difficult to offset without additional tax dollars. Substantial capital costs to be 1, substantial operational costs to be 2. As part of the Recreation Management Aquatics Trends Report from, I think it was February of 2025, over the last few years, there's been an increase to the tune of 50% in aquatics operations in the state of Indiana, not being district related, but actually having departments that are running. It has required departments to go back and ask for additional dollars to help cover the cost of operations for aquatic centers. And taking that into account, as well as the substantial life cycle costs when it comes time to replace the filters and or any other components. Therefore, understanding that the reach and utilization of these similar providers is a key factor in determining whether indoor aquatic components would serve unmet needs or simply compete in an already saturated market, led us to determine not to include that as part of the program for the indoor facility. Without aquatics in the cost of the building, this actually allows the district to provide more of the other indoor amenities that the public was asking for and keep the operations sustainable over time. Next slide. The core building program is a rough estimate that we have here. Looking at the region and what we're seeing as far as cost at the time of determining the building program, we're looking at a low cost of $725 a square foot and a mid-range of about $825. If we were to incorporate aquatics, it would be around $1,000 a square foot. So for the purpose of this facility at 37,500 square foot, you're looking roughly at a little over 27 million to build that facility. Whereas if the facility were more in the range of the 52,000 square foot, you'd be looking roughly at around 43 million. Now, it's important to say that these prices are subject to change between now and the time it's built, but also during the conceptual design phase, which could increase some spaces, potentially decrease some other spaces. So it's important to look at these figures now, but also look at these figures when a conceptual design is done, see if the costs have gone up, if they've remained the same, or if they've gone down as part of the process. Next slide, please. So it's important to say that there is a cost estimating horizon. And what you're looking at right now is where we are. We're really roughly about the 75% to 80% confidence rate in the level of detail that we have currently. We do not currently have a conceptual design to factor in. And so where we are now is probably one of the least accurate phases of the process. But as you move through this process to a conceptual design, you become more confident and more accurate in your numbers. When you move to a preliminary construction budget, as well as an operational budget based upon an actual design, you get to the 35% range of inaccuracy. When you get down to the detailed construction documents, you're much closer And then when you finally get to the control check, that's basically taking another look at those construction numbers and actually sometimes even asking for bidders to provide you prices at that time. Then you have the greatest level of accuracy that you'll have. And that's typically where these projects go, is to make sure that you have the greatest level of accuracy so that you're able to inform the public as to what it's going to cost to build, what it will cost to operate, and then what contribution may be necessary from them in order to make that a reality. So we just want to let you know where we are in this continuum right now. And we are just beyond the beginning phase, completing step one. And there's a few more steps in the process to really understand what the cost will be and have a higher level of confidence in the accuracy of those numbers. Next slide, please. So as part of this, we did talk about the conceptual spaces. We do have some conceptual sizes and no real design as part of that, but we're able to take that information and begin to create an operational strategy. We utilize these components that you see here, the vision, mission, and values of the department currently, the project guiding principles that we discussed with you last time on meeting the needs of the public, creating a community hub, and being able to generate revenue for a sustainable facility. We also have the operational standards that we create, staffing standards, maintenance standards, technology, and customer service that all go into that. Now, it's worth noting that we do not include all of these components and assumptions within this presentation, but they are within the full feasibility study report. If we had them in this presentation, we would be here well past 10 p.m. There are several, and we do encourage you to go and take a look at that within the document as well for additional detail. But we're going to cover the most significant ones this evening that helped us in monetizing the operations for the pro forma. Next slide. So first, hours of operations. The operational assumptions help us monetize the strategy, and knowing the hours of operation helps you understand what you're going to need from a staffing standpoint so that you can monetize the staff to cover everything within the facility. And we've done that with this first step in determining what the hours of operation would be. We're also looking at an owner-operator model, which means that the district will own the facility, but also operate it with staff and potentially contract out for areas where expertise is needed, HVAC, things of that nature. Excuse me. We have also worked in cost containment measures as part of this as well. And the facility right now, looking at 96.5 hours a week, that's going to be approximately 4,800 hours annually that the facility will be open. Next slide, please. Again, knowing the hours of operation helps us start to determine the staff. I knew I was headed towards this. Sorry about that. But from the staffing standpoint, we're looking at a couple of full-time staff, one of which you see with an orange border around it. That is an existing staff position with athletics, currently utilizing other facilities within the community, now being able to centralize those and potentially bring those into a new facility here and run that facility as well as the programs within it. Also, it's important to understand that while you have the staff, there does need to be a little bit of a lead time in bringing the staff on board to have them trained, to begin to program out the facility, to get it up and operational from when the doors open. It's also important to know that when the facility reaches full maturity, there may be the need for some additional staff. That's why you see ranges for facility supervisors, customer service attendants, custodians, and then fitness instructors and program staff already contracting out for those in a couple of areas. That's common to bring some of those into the new facility as well too. Not necessarily placing a number on those to give flexibility to the staff, but that future growth could require additional staff positions, but the ability to start out again following that lean management model exists. To contain costs, the facility should also not be fully staffed when visitation is low. So making sure that operationally you're managing that in real time will help contain costs as part of the operations of the facility. Next slide. It's important to make sure that the customer experience is consistent. Currently, the district has a really good culture, very well supported. People appreciate all of the services and the staff's dedication. Carrying that forward as the system grows is extremely important. And so we wanted to make sure that we identified the key components to exceptional service, including customer service standards, making sure that member engagement and feedback loops are in place. Currently, the staff has been doing surveys since well before the master plan, but statistically valid with the master plan, statistically valid with this, but then also program surveys periodically as well to make sure that they are sustaining the excellence that they've established. Key performance indicators are also important for customer satisfaction, for customer and membership retention, for participation in programming, and then also financial performance. And so those are also identified. All KPIs will help the district know if it's achieving the outcomes in providing a premier sports and recreation facility for its residents. Next slide. Also, program standards and technology are important. Safety, quality assurance, regular benchmarks against neighboring facilities, ensuring credentialed staff and volunteers are trained and able to perform at the highest level. Technology for scheduling, for security, for building automation, such as temperature control, and for the member experience. So providing a comprehensive training on membership services and program standards for all staff partners and volunteers is important. This training will ensure that everyone interacting with members understands the expectation and can deliver a consistently positive experience for members and visitors to the facility. Next slide. Strategic partnerships are also important. That's something that the district, that's not new to the district. However, corporate partnerships will be another component of the project that can help strengthen the efforts by developing sponsorship packages tied to community visibility, meaning the number of impressions that partnering businesses are getting, and wellness initiatives. The efforts and engagement of local employers, the community, and the public will build support for the project. Next slide. We've also had a conversation with staff regarding capital asset naming rights and the potential revenues that exist from that. This is an example, has market range within the Chicagoland area, but this is also something that the Lisle Partners for Parks Foundation can also assist with, assist in identifying and cultivating prospects for local businesses, even philanthropic families and community leaders whose values align with this project and the mission. It can also help to develop marketing materials, sponsorship packages, and donor agreements that outline contribution levels during the naming duration, also recognize the benefits that they receive, and an expectation for both parties, as well as potential tax deduction in that regard. In collaboration with the Park District, the foundation would be able to ensure that the naming right opportunities uphold the community values and reinforce the district's brand identity. Getting asset valuations from firms that do this on a regular basis will be important. That expertise of them determining the real value of that, or as we call it, the valuation of the asset, meaning the facility, if that were up for naming rights, the gym, the basketball courts, the walking trail, et cetera. Making sure that you have that from a firm that does this on a regular basis will assist with the outcomes from the capital campaign. Leanne, would you want to touch on how donating to a building has an impact on the revenue generation, but then also touch on the endowments if those are a part of the naming rights as well?
I think the biggest thing that, it's all about impression points. So the amount of people that go through a building the value of the sponsorships basically are tied to impression points. And that applies to buildings outside or inside in relationship to what people are getting in Parks and Recreation. The other thing is the ability to set up an endowment for this facility so that people can leave money for different elements in the building. Having naming boards and various types of opportunities. People, want to have a court named after their family or after a business or whatever it might be. But a lot of the agencies that we work with, we do a full audit of every opportunity of what could help. What that does is bring down the cost, but we like to take those dollars and put them into an endowment so that you always have dollars to update what you already built and keep up with the cost of new equipment when you need it and things that are associated with it. And it really has paid off well for a lot of our clients where that's occurred.
So that would be, can I just ask a quick question? That'd be separate from our non-for-profit that we already have now.
You're not, it could be run through the not-for-profit or it could be set up separately. It's really just another option for you.
Because that is generally now where we go for, if we're looking for special
Yeah.
projects.
But I just wanted to make sure you recognize that there are other options that people have viewed. Okay.
And the endowment is a nice component as part of that to ensure that whatever it is that's named has the ability to be upkept over time. We just know that
You give it a time frame.
wear and
A 10
tear.
hour, a 10-day, 10-year, 20-year. So there's a time frame associated with the naming right. It's not in perpetuity.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So just like the operations, a financial strategy has been created for the facility. These components, just like the operational strategy, go into the financial strategy. So looking at funding sources, financial assumptions, pricing model, revenue model, expenditure, and then obviously the 5-year pro forma. It is worth noting again that not all these components in full detail are in this presentation for the sake of time, but are available within the full feasibility study report. Next slide. So when we looked at facility funding sources for the strategy, we looked at external funding sources. That's the corporate sponsorship, foundation gifts, naming rights, partnerships, and private donations. We also looked at user fees from an operational standpoint. That's admissions and membership, equipment rental, program fees and charges, and reservations and rentals. But then also franchise and licenses such as advertising sales, catering, concession management, interlocal agreements, leasing, and pouring rights. This approach balances earned income opportunities with external funding sources to offset operational costs and maintain affordability for participants and members. We've implemented the user fees and some of the franchise licenses into the overall strategy, as you'll see when we get into the revenue model. And then in addition to the corporate sponsorship, foundation gifts and naming rights, the potential for bonding to develop the facility. But even after the facility is developed, some of the external funding, such as corporate sponsorship, foundations, and gifts, can be utilized as part of operations and future enhancements. Next slide, please. So some of our financial assumptions you'll see here, and these are critical in the process because they test the project's viability, influence design decisions, and provide a financial framework with the pro forma development. We looked at the facility potentially opening in 2029. We incorporated full-time benefits that currently exist for full-time staff. The pro forma is a living and breathing document, so can be adjusted and updated as spaces are adjusted and account for inflation. We took about 2% of marketing because there's already a well-established marketing component to what the district does. And life cycle replacement, 5% of revenues generated being put back. So future life cycle replacements, carpet, walls, fixtures, furnishings, things of that nature can be addressed. The financial assumptions help keep the framework even as we test scenarios in the development and operations during the conceptual design phase. Next slide. So what you see here is a 5-year pro forma. Quick orientation to what you're seeing on the screen. On the left side, under the Lisle Park District logo, you're seeing the revenues, which come from passes and daily admissions, programs and events, as well as reservation and rentals and other. The expenditures below that come from personnel services, operations, and other services and charges. You see an operational cost recovery across the bottom based upon that, but then below that operational cost recovery is where asset lifecycle replacement fund of 5% of revenues is being put into reserve, and then gives the total cost of recovery below. So there is a financial outlook that demonstrates a sustainable and efficient operating model for the district with a new facility and the indoor amenities identified. The analysis projects steady growth in revenues from past daily admission programs, reservations, and rentals, and reflecting a balanced mix of earned income that supports the facility's ongoing operations. You may see that there is a little bit of a lull between year 3 and year 4 in the cost recovery numbers. That's typically when we see from past clients the new factor wears off in a facility, and it's time to re-energize the programs and the spaces with new innovative types of programming and activities to take place in the facility. And if that's done, then it will continue on that trajectory. In addition, the expenditures that include the staff as well as the operations and the other services can be managed carefully to maintain cost efficiency while still ensuring high quality service delivery that residents have become accustomed to. Next slide. And so here's the revenue model. We know that these numbers look small on here, but this presentation has also been placed online for individuals to take a closer look at those. Again, a little bit of an orientation here. This is the revenue model that informed the original 5-year pro forma that you saw on the previous slide. And we have estimated the revenue conservatively. What that means is we've only taken 6% of the population for memberships, which is around 1,800 memberships. To give you an understanding as to where that lies, the Global Health and Fitness Association averages between 6 and 11% within communities. And so we've taken the lower number as part of this pro forma. The M2M behind individual and some of the other passes means month to month. So rather than an annual means paying it all at one time. Also, we're averaging 7 months out of the year for all of the passes that are in the month to month, even though we know that there will be some that will do that for the full year. And there will be some that as soon as summer hits or spring hits, it's time to go outside and recreate and get their physical fitness outside rather than inside after winter. That too is an average number that is utilized by the Global Health and Fitness Association. Memberships have been distributed among all of the pass types, the individual, the couple, the senior, and the family. And we've done that according to historical data that Pros Consulting has from clients who have already developed facilities and been operating them from 3 years to almost 2 decades. We've also taken daily admissions, and we've averaged those out at 17% of the total passes. Next slide. So here we have programming, various athletic programs for youth and adults that will utilize the facility, as well as some of the other types of cultural arts activities, such as dance and sports clinics, martial arts, and enrichment classes. We've put fitness classes in here, and we think it's important to point out that there are 3 types of fitness classes. There are fitness programs that are core, And those are the ones that are part of the membership benefit. And then there are fitness classes that are enhanced or specialized, where they're working on a specific portion of the body, requires a little bit more expertise. And those we've actually put in a fee for participating in those. Those are not fees for one class, just so you know. Those are typically sessions where they're doing 6 to 8 times for the class. And so that price is representing 6 to 8 times being in a class such as that type. It's also important to know that the programming is part of achieving 70% utilization of the facility in combination with facility rentals. And so we're not maxing this out and saying, oh, this is going to be 100% of these programs all the time, and it will achieve 100% participation. We recognize that there will be minimums set and maximums set based upon the facility size and what each instructor is able to handle. And so we've taken that into account and accounted for those at 70% of full participation. Next slide. When we get to the other services, other revenues and reservation and rentals, it's important to bring back up the 4,800 hours that the facility will operate, because we have taken the rentals of the hard court and utilize those at 35% of their available time, meaning they'll be programmed out by the district in other times and not available for rental or reservation. And so we utilize that, and that makes those available about 1,600 hours a year. And then the multi-activity court or multi-purpose room, not nearly the same level of rentals have we seen for that type of a facility, or that type of a space. So we have calculated that at 25%, which puts that at about 1,200 hours a year. Program sponsorship, as you see under other, as well as advertising, have been included in this, but we've taken a very conservative estimation in that and only put those at roughly about $16,000 in revenue generation. Next slide, please. This is where we get into the expenditure model. Again, just quick reminder, one of the full-time positions is an existing position, but we did still put that salary into this facility, since this would be the facility that they would be operating out of and running the programs out of. These figures will likely change with a conceptual design when that comes to life. And the district will continue to look at lean staff and maximizing existing staff as part of the process. What you don't see in here is HR, finance, and marketing, which already exist within the district and have the ability to assist with these with this facility's needs in those areas as well. Next slide. So this is the operations cost, and it's based on units, which are actually square feet, and the cost per unit to maintain those spaces. Now, these spaces do not include the staffing costs, because those were in the personnel costs on the previous slide. But this does allow us to more easily run scenarios as a conceptual design is created. And based on any direction that may come from that design, be able to make quick adjustments so the district can see how that's going to impact the operations, making sure that the cost benefit ratio is still in balance as far as the operational budget is concerned. This is an important component that will allow the district to understand the operational costs as spaces may change, but it also helps them make decisions based on data rather than just what they would like to see as far as a space is concerned and the size of the space. Next slide. So last part of the expenditure model is other services and charges included here. We have advertising and marketing. That's the 2% of revenues that we had spoken about earlier. We also have bank fees and charges, estimated at 3%. Information systems and contracts, put in at almost 16,500, and then waste management as well accounted for here. What you see is a model that allows us to adjust as a design is created. And it's important for us to let you know that we've agreed to work with the district to update the pro forma as that conceptual design is created. So they're seeing in real time how any changes from a design may impact operations and what those long-term financial implications may be from those changes. It's very important to the staff to be good fiscal stewards, and they've done that during this process by repurposing existing spaces to keep the size and the cost of a potential new facility contained, and to keep the public informed throughout the process. We've enjoyed the collaboration with the staff. We've had extensive discussions on various topics during the feasibility study, and it's awesome to see leadership that values the input of all of the staff. They've invited several of the other staff to our meetings so they could hear and be abreast of what's happening, but also provide any additional feedback. Ultimately, just ensuring that there's a 360-degree perspective around this project, and so that nothing is being forgotten as part of it. Next slide, please. This one?
So in conclusion, basically, we recognize there's very strong public support based on the public input we had for this. I mean, we've done a lot of these around the country and as well as here in the Chicago area. This is really strongest we've seen. The facility spaces meet the program needs identified in the survey. So everything's been, what's been in this performance matches the survey. Less the indoor aquatics. Developing the facility within the financial capability of the district to support it within capital improvement limits. If approved by the voters, we really worked with the team here and Scott and Dan and everybody just to make sure that, you know, what we're saying is not more than what the district can accept or really support. The additional revenue from the new facility will offset the operating costs with no additional dollars from taxpayers. And the facility will be able to serve all age groups and all core programs needed. And, you know, from our perspective, we really recommend that the district move forward on the next phase to include the preliminary design for the facility and really take strong consideration to put this out to the public for a referendum.
With that, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have or any additional questions.
That was a lot. You said all the details you said are available online.
Yeah, correct.
They will be.
Yeah, it will be within a day or two. We'll have it up.
There'll be also as part of your meeting the regular meeting next week, we'll have the full report. Where similar to the strategic master plan, we'll be looking for the board to consider adopting it or accepting it as submitted. So that'll be presented next
If we
week.
have anything that we would like to maybe not see adopted as part of the whole plan?
Yeah,
We
it's-
talk about that then, or should
Sure.
I give you input ahead of time?
Whatever you want to do, we can talk about it then. You can do it between now and
I
then.
think I would like the board to have a discussion about naming rights. That's problematic at best in today's current culture. So that's something I would like to see us maybe not rely on as heavily or have as part of our strategy.
Did you, but in this pro forma though, you didn't include that revenue as, that's
Actually,
all
thank you for stating. that.
gravy,
So
right?
there are no revenues in the
Okay.
pro forma for naming
Naming
rights. It's just listed as a potential option.
Got it.
Correct. And to elaborate just a little bit more, if there are any changes or any questions you have before the next meeting, please feel free to reach out. Again, we've committed to making any adjustments to the feasibility study and to updating the pro forma.
Yeah, that was just a recommendation.
Yeah.
Just as another funding source.
And having that before for the board to adopt it or accept it to us, I mean, that's kind of a green light to keep this process moving
So,
forward.
right.
So obviously the next step, like you awarded last month to Williams Architects and Beyond Your Base. So we'll get right in with them within the coming weeks and keep the momentum moving.
Well, I assume there's some assumptions with regard to locations and upgrades of existing facilities or, you know.
Yeah, that's,
and
Thank you very much for bringing that up. So within the report, yes, we look at a location just adjacent to here that exists. That's another way to keep or contain costs as part of the project. And then as part of that, to update this facility so that it has a similar look and feel as part of the new facility. Once the new facility is built, they would make it a little bit easier to move some of the activities from here to there to then update these spaces. In the meantime, the district's still going to continue on this, to continue to rely upon this facility to offer the programs they already have in place. Good question. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Good for now.
Okay, so
Well, we'd like to thank the board for authorizing this work, and I can't thank, on behalf of all of our staff, I trust the board too, but thank you, Leon and Phil and your team. This has been a incredibly eye-opening experience and don't seem to have left any stone unturned. So we feel, I think staff feels as confident as we can with the information you provided us, and we look forward to keeping it chugging along.
We'll keep tabs on you, make sure that we watch what you're doing, and if anything comes up, we want to be here to support you. Our goal is to make you successful.
thank you. Thank you for your time and work. It was great working
Yeah,
with you
thank
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that being said, if no one has anything else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:52.
So moved?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
All those opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.